You are live.
Hi everyone, my name is Robin Teurlings, founder CEO of The Startup Buddy. Welcome to today's edition of Demo Day and Investor Match, the Singapore edition. We are doing this edition together with Cocoon Capital, one of the most founder-friendly VCs here in Singapore. For those who don't know The Startup Buddy yet, we are an online startup building and fundraising platform for by now 2,500 entrepreneurs and over 1,000 investors in over 100 countries. What we are building is an online global startup equity trading platform. Some of you might have seen that we just started trading virtual shares through the platform, and by the end of the year, we hope to start trading real equity through the Startup Buddy. We also do events like the one that you're currently visiting. Today is our Demo Day and Investor Match, which is an event to connect you to potential investors that will invest in your company, and for investors to find interesting startups, which I'll explain more about in a second. On July 22nd, we have Founders Fusion again, which is our event where we connect startups to potential business partners, customers, mentors, and co-founders to grow their businesses. So today is the Singapore edition. To be clear, sometimes people ask, can I only join when I'm from Singapore? No, it's totally fine wherever you come from to join all these events, but we always have speakers that know a little bit more about one startup ecosystem or another. So today we're going to have a very interesting and good speaker, Will Klipgen from Cocoon Capital, that's going to share his experiences and knowledge about the Singapore ecosystem. But we have a lot of also founders from other countries today, like Switzerland, Indonesia, Singapore, of course, Vietnam, and investors from the US and all over the world. So a little bit for those who are not from Singapore itself and have no idea how the startup ecosystem looks like here. So we are a very small country. I'm saying we because I happen to live here. We have a little under 6 million people living here on a very tiny island. I read yesterday you can go around in 120 kilometers by car. But still, it's a very large startup ecosystem compared to other places. Altogether, there's more than 8,000 tech startups right now in Singapore. Singapore is also a very wealthy country. It's the ninth richest country in the world if you look at the capita. And we have a huge load of investors based here in Singapore because a lot of the Southeast Asian investors are centralized here in Singapore. So according to MAS, which is the financial regulator of Singapore, at the moment there's a little under 300 registered funds in Singapore. And then on top of that, of course, you have your family offices, your angel investors, and other people that invest in startups. The ecosystem has been doing really well in the past couple of years. Investment's been growing a lot. Investors have been coming to the country and setting up. And also the startups themselves are doing really well. There's a few household names here that if you're from this region, you will definitely have heard about. Like, for example, Grab, which is the Southeast Asian variant of Uber for those who don't live in this area. And for example, Property Guru, if any of you have ever had to look for a house in Singapore, this is probably the platform that you've used for that. An interesting fact, Will was one of the early investors in Property Guru. So he's got a good nose for what's going to be a successful startup in the future. Like I said, we have a lot of investors here in Singapore. They usually invest all around the region. There's a lot of early stage investors, but also later stage investors. There's a few names here on the screen. Cocoon Capital I've already mentioned because we organized this today together with them. Another one that I always find interesting is B Capital Group, which was set up by one of the founders of Facebook. And 500 Startups, probably all of you have heard because it's a very big global VC that does a lot of early stage deals. So there's a lot going on here in Singapore, which we'll see also during the pitches. We later on have a pitch by Camille from one of the startups here in Singapore. But before we go for that, I first want to invite Robert to the stage. and I will close my slides for you. He's got a startup in Indonesia, on Bali. I already told him earlier, I'm very jealous about that. He's also one of the active and highest valued startups on the Startup Buddy Stock Exchange, which is why we invited him to pitch today. Robert, do you have everything that you need to pitch?
I believe so. If you can hear me and see my screen, I'm ready to go.
Okay, then good luck. You can start pitching.
All right, perfect. Hi, everyone. My name is Robert. I'm the CEO of Titik Pintar, and we're building fun, personalized, and interactive mobile education for elementary students in Indonesia. Kids in elementary school find classroom learning very boring, and being in a class does not allow them to study at their own level and pace. And the low disposable income of parents does not allow for personalized tutoring. It is especially the case in Indonesia. The PISA ranking is a test comparing 15-year-old kids, what knowledge that they have and what they're able to do with this knowledge. And Indonesia is unfortunately at the bottom. There's a big need and opportunity for improvement. So we provide, our solution is the best quality localized teaching content delivered automated, interactive and personalized. It's a mobile app for maximum impact and reach. And we offer this at an affordable price for the aspiring middle class in Indonesia. So how does it look? Here I can show you a little bit. You can see short animations of the product here. It's built in Unity. It's a gaming engine for maximum fun for kids. Here on the left, you'll see a blend of teacher and green screen and animation to bring to life the topic that we're teaching. And we create micro lessons of 6 minutes. They're aligned with the Indonesian curriculum and real life context. Here on the right, you'll see an example of embedded learning using games. This example, Rapid Racer, can be used for any multiple choice. So if you answer correctly, you see your card speeds past the other one. After this minigame, the knowledge will be tested with more questions and answers. We have single and multiplayer, and then we've got multiple choice, fill in the blank, and true, false, so we can play quizzes with kids. The COVID-19 pandemic put the spotlight on the way forward, very promising for learning and the different modes of delivering quality education. So technology allows for personalization. A combination of synchronous and asynchronous learning and content can very well be made immersive, interactive, and collaborative. And we target kids of aspiring middle class and higher social economic statuses. And if they would spend $50 a year, our sum would be $110 million. There are other highly successful models in other countries. Schoola from the Netherlands, I'm from the Netherlands, and in India there is Byju's, which is a very big success. So we currently offer a B2C subscription model for around $4 a month. Shorter and longer periods are offered as well. We receive a lot of interest from the market and have kids, the kids playing have answered over 1.4 million questions. It's very noticeable, 71% of our recent players are actually girls. Apart from that, we created content for multiple months of playing and learning, great for only for us to be able to learn and iterate faster. The business to consumer acquisition cost $8, so that's very low. And we're currently in commercial negotiations of a business to business distribution deal with the biggest telecom company in Indonesia. And that will have a potential of hundreds of thousands of kids. So that's very, very exciting. We're also starting with school distribution in July, 10 schools. And we are funded by the Indonesia Women Empowerment Fund and Moonshot YCAP. And they're also in the session today. So thanks for their trust up until now. We focus on elementary age kids. We could go actually a bit earlier to K and pre-K, not later. And there's other players in Indonesia very successful in that category. But they are replicating the product offering for SMA, the junior high and senior high, to elementary grade. And that's not successful as the complete, the content, the user experience, and the learning design all is very different. Well, then a bit about the team. I started as a tech entrepreneur in high school. And previously, I was CEO, CTO, and an equity partner in a number of companies. And I was able to sell shares of 4 of those companies to start Titik Pintar. And I was no longer passionate for that. And I really, for those businesses, and I really want to do something more meaningful. And I believe the biggest impact I can actually make will be in education. And I believe the next years, EdTech will positively impact tens of millions of kids. So that's why I really want to do this. I'm excited to have Kalina on board. She is experienced in marketing, communication, branding, and business development. She's a mother of 2. kids in elementary school as well, and very much connected with the target group and embedded in the Indonesian society. We are looking for a talented chief product as well. We have a great curriculum director and engineering director, total team size 16. Then what we're currently raising is a bridge round, convertible notes, 4 million valuation, cap, 5% interest, 50% discount, 24 months maturity date. And we're going to spend it on educational content creation, IT development operations, and a little bit of marketing spending until we get the product right, and then we'll definitely hit the gas on that. And that's my pitch.
Robert, for your pitch. There's now about 5 minutes time for Q&A. Everyone who's watching, also the other startups, if you have a question for Robert, please put it in the Q&A box, which you should see on the right side of your screen, assuming you're on a laptop. Robert, can you share a little bit about how your acquisition strategy has been so far for getting users onto your platform?
Yeah, so we started in 2019, and we're very much focusing on the product back then. We tested a little bit with schools, and that was in end of 2019. 2020, of course, COVID hit, so we needed to change the acquisition strategy a bit. So we started with business to consumer at that point. So now we're doing performance marketing. And like I said, the customer acquisition cost, or the acquisition cost, the download cost is very low. So we spend very little on performance marketing because we still need to get the product market fit a bit better. So it's now business to consumer, but we're definitely looking at the school distribution or this business to business distribution that I also indicated on a previous slide. And that would be a distribution deal with a big telecom provider. So that would be the distribution models.
Okay, thank you. For those who are paying attention all across their screen, there's a lot of options here on Airmeet. My colleague has just launched a poll about the pitch that you just saw. So please all have a quick look at that poll and answer the question there, so I can let Robert know at the end what the result of that is. You mentioned that you're specifically focusing now at grade 4 kids, I guess I should say. They're not yet students, right? Why is that? Why so specific?
Yeah, so we create a lot of content. We do this in-house. We do have a crowd creation platform as well to scale this at a certain point as well, so we can go a bit faster. But right now we're still trying to establish and solidify the product market fit. And having these 6 grades is, to keep on creating content for 6 grades while we're experimenting is very time consuming and costly. So to go faster, we only selected 1 grade. And the elementary school in Indonesia has got the first 3 years, and the second 3 years are 2 different parts. Different subjects are taught. So that's why we selected the first year of the second part. So that's grade 4. It's also a reason because before we chose the grade 4, we offered the content for all 6 grades, and then we saw the most engagement actually from kids in the 4th and the 5th grade. So that's why we chose the grade 4. And of course, if we can keep them longer on our platform, we hope that they can go to the 5th year and then ultimately the 6th year. So that's why a few reasons why we chose the grade 4.
You mentioned when we talked before that creating the content is very, very work intensive. Why do you decide to make your own content, and why is it so work intensive?
So we saw that the quality that we could find is actually very, very low. So it does make a big difference. And as you can see here, we at this personalized and interactive part, the whole experience is very important, and we get a lot of positive reviews about it. But it does mean that we need to invest in this as well. And so we are experimenting with different types of content. So it's green screen recording blended with animations. That is something that we started at the beginning of this year. And that goes a bit faster than only animations, but still it does take a bit of time. And this Sahabat Pintar platform, we launched that last year, November, in an Indonesian Teachers Day. And we are bringing together teachers, designers, animators there to create more content that we can use in the platform. It's a competition-based, a crowd creation platform. So that's something that we can use to scale as well. We're still trying to find the best way forward for the content. We're still polishing this, and we will gear up and ramp up the content creation, external content creation on this platform probably next month. And then our focus would shift a bit more to the quality assurance, obviously, from crowd-created content. So that's why it's taking a lot of time, but it is very, very important as well.
Okay, I have two questions from Tito. I will ask them at the same time because we're running out of time. So one question I think you maybe already sort of answered, but you can follow up if you want. What type of content do you create? Is it video games or automated processing or Q&A? And more specifically, he's asking, is there any live video offering within the platform?
Yeah, so we're creating topic explanations around 6 minutes each, and that is just explaining a concept, whether it's about circles or numbers or any topic that we are covering. And so that's an animation. Then there are these mini games that I showed you this example of. We are currently building those as well. And then we've got question and answers, and that can be multiple choice, fill in the blank or true false. And we created 5,000 or 6,000 by now of those. So that's the type of content. That's all self-paced. We do have a real-time element as well. Those are live classes, 3 p.m. Jakarta time. Kids can join in. That is also pre-recorded, and it's also a blend of the animation and green screen recording. But there are actually teachers that at the same time answering any questions that kids have. So kids watch a teacher explain something. The teacher will ask, is the right answer A, B, or C? And then they pick, and if they answer correctly, they get praise. And if they pick wrongly, they get a bit of extra explanation. So we have this as well. It's a different type of content. It's a bit longer. It's different engagement. And it is real time, so it's not self-paced. We're offering both.
Okay. We have to leave it with that. Robert, thank you very much for doing the first pitch. The first one is always the toughest one.
Well, I hope it went right. Thank you very much for the occasion.
Yeah, thank you very much. And have good meetings after this introduction.
Thank you.
With that, I want to explain everybody who has not been here before how the rest of this afternoon is going to work. I will, in the meantime, keep open the poll for those who haven't found it yet. It's on the right side of your screen. There's a lot of menu options there. I also keep finding new features here in this platform. So go to the polls and answer the question. After the end of my introduction, I will go to the results for that. So give me 1 second to share my screen again. Also for our regular audience that's been here a few times before already, we have changed a few things around based on your input. So as you already saw just now, we'll have 2 pitches this afternoon. Titik Pintar we just had, and later on we'll have a Digital Blue Phone, which will be pitched by Camille, their CEO. In between, we'll have a very interesting interview with Will. We hope that his internet's gonna hold because he's in a beautiful but remote place in Norway at the moment. But of course, the most important part of the program for most of you is your individual meetings between startups and investors. So how is that gonna work? Most of you, hopefully, when you came in, saw something like what you currently see on the screen. You see virtual tables there on my screen. Actually, when you came in, instead of investor names, there's now startup names. So we have changed that around. So I like to ask all the startups that are participating today to find their specific table. And then the investors, please go to the table of the startup that you're matched with according to the schedule. I will show you the schedule when I'm almost done, and you should also all have received the concept schedule in your email box. So if you can't quickly see it on my screen, just go to your email box. There should be a PDF with all the startups and investors matched there. So like I said, investors, your name is not going to be on the tables as you see on my screen right now. It's going to be the startup names which are on the different tables. And I'd like to ask you to join the specific startup that you've been matched with. We also have a lot of attendees that are listening in for the pitches or for the interviews. So you have not been matched with a startup or with an investor. But if you scroll down a little bit in this screen, you will see that there's a guest table. I think there's two. You're very welcome to join those table and network amongst each other. There's also a few more investors, or at least there were a few more investors than startups. I haven't been able to look at how we're doing currently on people that are in the session. But basically, if you're not in one of the startup investor matching sessions, just go to the networking tables. Then a few requests from me and my team. Very obvious maybe, but first of all, make sure to respect each other throughout your meetings, but please also respect each other's private sessions. So we always set this up so that a startup can have a 20-minute focused conversation with an investor. So please don't break into a session that you haven't been scheduled to break into. However, to make that a little bit confusing, there's always 3 investors that have not been scheduled at the moment because we had a few more investors than startups today. So the 3 investors that have a blank box behind their name for a specific round, you're free to join any startup table that you're interested to join because you haven't been scheduled for anything. But startups don't jump into anybody else's session because you want to talk to an investor. At the end of today, there's open networking. So I encourage everybody to just stay around for the open networking, and then you can still meet that person that maybe you would have wanted to meet, but you weren't matched with. You can also use the chat to set up that meeting up front. There's a lot of options, but don't break into each other's sessions. To help me and my team, make sure that you always click on a chair. We have had a few editions that people don't click somewhere and they just, well, for us it looks like you're just floating around. Please always, after this central session is over and we go back to the lounge, make sure that you're seated somewhere. Otherwise, it's very difficult for us to contact you and to help you solve your issue or answer your questions. And then thirdly, you have received the schedule. Unfortunately, probably some people didn't show up because that usually happens. When you have your meetings, I do my very best to reschedule some sessions based on who are here, but have a little bit of patience with that. It takes a little bit of time. So I will do my utmost best to reschedule that everybody has as many meetings as possible. But give me a little bit of time to do that because it's a little bit complicated. Okay, if throughout the event you have any issues, there's always the Startup Buddy table. My colleague Darvis is there. You can always go there and ask him a question. There also is the messages that I already told you about. You can direct message me and my team, or you can also direct message each other, or you can message everyone. Try out the platform. We don't care as long as you have a good event. If you have a technical issue other than that your internet is not working, there's a purple button at the bottom with a question mark. The AirMeet tech support is available there throughout the session, so you can always click there and ask them for help. Okay, then who are the startups for today? This was, I think, the situation at 11 o'clock this morning, so if your logo is not here, my apologies for that. But registrations have been coming in throughout the day. So we have 14 different startups today. What I also like to mention is for the first time, we have a couple of startups from Temasek Launchpad, the incubator program from the Polytechnic here in Singapore. that you will be meeting. And we have these investors joining here today, and also this one is not exhaustive because we actually had 17 registrations. So there's more people here today than we had time to actually all put on slides. This was really good because it also enabled us to make better matches based on what typically the investors are investing in and what the companies are doing. So I think you're going to have a fun afternoon. Okay. With that, we're going to go to meeting round one. What does that look like? On the left-hand side of my screen, you see hopefully your investor name, if you're an investor, and on the right-hand side, something went, no, sorry. And on the right-hand side, you see the startups. If you see a blank box, like I said, behind your investor name, it means that you are not scheduled with a specific startup. Because we had a few more investors than we had startups. So if that's the case, feel free to just join one of the other sessions, as long as the startup and the investor that are already scheduled there are okay with it. Of course, you can also go to the guest tables and network over there. I will leave this here on the screen for a few seconds, so please quickly look up your name as an investor and memorize who your startup is. Okay, I think that should be long enough. So with that, it is now 25 minutes to 5 here in Singapore. The rounds are going to be 20 minutes each. So I see you back here at 5 minutes to 5. Have a good first round. Bye-bye.